Hey everybody, welcome back to Battle Ready Inc. So today's deck profile is X Antibody. I know this deck is super hyped for. Tons of people are very excited to finally see a full-fledged X Antibody deck. I know black decks are kind of one of those that people really hope for it to be good, and they really want to play a good black deck that's like really competitive in the meta, because it's one of those decks that's always kind of struggled. Here and there we have seen some really good success with black in the past, but X Antibody is like the beginnings of some truly terrifying black decks to come. BT9, it's going to get more support and get absolutely bonkers. So this is like the prelude to that, while still being very powerful and very fun. Also, this is the perfect time to roll out our new baby here in the form of Dorugoramon. So if you're going to be wanting to play some X Antibody, this is going to be a great memory marker to get a hold of for this. This is handmade out of clay by my wife, and if you would like to get one of these, check the links in the description below. We now have a combined Etsy store, so you can get all of our previous memory markers we've had on the channel, as well as the current memory marker and some Battle Ready Inc. merch. So if you want one of our white game mats, the rubberized game mats, or some of our Battle Ready Inc. black Digitama sleeves, or in the future, hopefully here very soon, we'll have our BRI custom sharp edge dice for sale. Alright, so let's go ahead and dive in here. First up, we've got our eggs. Dorugoramon right off the bat at a 4 of. This is very important for the deck. So your turn, once per turn, when one of your effects places a Digivolution card under this Digimon, draw 1. So you can't have like multiple Dorugoramons out on the field as active inheritables and then place one thing underneath one stack and trigger them all. It doesn't work like that. It has to be specifically for the stack that you're putting the source underneath. So just remember that, because that's pretty important. Same for the Dorugoramon here that we're about to get into. This inheritable is very similar of your turn, once per turn, when one of your effects places a Digivolution card under this Digimon, gain 1 memory. Still very powerful effects. We do a ton of this in the deck, repeatedly, turn after turn. We'll be triggering these effects. So perfect for this deck, absolutely perfect. Could not ask for better. And honestly, you don't really need a 5th egg, because you want Dorugoramon 100% of the time. Because every time you put a source underneath the stack, that is a source out of your hand resources, and hand resources is kind of difficult to maintain in X Antibody. So you 100% of the time you want Dorugoramon as your baby. So those are our only 4 eggs. Also, the Dorugoramon here, the on-play effect. So it is a rookie with an on-play effect, which is kind of awkward, right? Because you really want the Dorugoramon on top of the Dorugoramon. Like, you want these guys in the same Evo stack. So if you hard play the Dorugoramon, you can't do that. I have my issues with it, okay? There's not much you can do about it. If you've already got like a good setup of your hand and you don't really need that search, definitely Digivolve this guy on top of the Dorugoramon. But if you don't, then you got to hard play it, okay? And get this, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 card with X Antibody and straight, and 1 coda among them to your from among them to your hand. The rest go to the bottom of the deck. So a reveal 3, add 2, that's pretty solid. Our ideal is going to be a reveal 5, add 2, but hey, take what you can get. Reveal 3 is still solid. Coda is going to be our X Antibody tamer and our memory fixer for the deck. He's the only tamer in the deck, so the fact that the tamer part is restricted to a specific one is still okay, because this is the only one in the deck. But the other thing is nice, because it's just a generic X Antibody. Like anything, there's no color restriction, just any X Antibody you can get. So this guy could be actually used in other future decks of different colors, potentially. So must have card for the deck, absolutely. Next we got Dorugoramon. This is the promo one, kind of pricey. If you were like smart enough early on when this got released and this card was absolutely useless and no one played it. And everyone wanted the Palmon and what was it, the Lobomon promo. Everyone wanted those. No one cared about the Sunazaramon. If you picked up a playset of these, you're probably still setting on them because now they're like crazy expensive. But just a rookie 0/3, 0 Evo, 3 play cost, 2K. But its main effect, your turn, all of your black Digimon with 13,000 DP or more gain piercing. That's pretty cool. Most of the time you're going to be digivolving on top of this guy, but there's been plenty of situations where I've like evoed him in raising and then promoted him up while I've already have an established build like mid game, and then he's going to give my Digimon piercing. So something like an Alphamon that's going to be able to bump up his DP. This works really well with something like that. And then the Inheritable, though, the Inheritable is great. It's phenomenal. While this Digimon is black and has 13,000 DP or more, it gets Security Attack +1. Security Attack +1 on a rookie is incredibly rare. Green has one, but it's a 1 Evo cost rookie. This being a 0 Evo cost, 3 play cost, very, very nice, like, in the realm rookie stats that we like to see with a phenomenal Inheritable. So absolutely are definitely our second like preferred target of the deck. I really think Dorugoramon is like the main one that you want to have underneath your Evo stack, mainly your main mega stack. The Sunazaramon is kind of generic, which is nice because it can go for either of your megas, where the Dorugoramon is very much specific for really wanting to trigger his ability there, that gaining the memory. And then our last rookie here is the Toy Agumon, just giving reboot. I think anytime you can have reboot is always good. It's just a good filler black card. I think Toy Agumon's always been really great. Just reboot as an Inheritable on a rookie. That's solid. Plenty of times I want to swing into security, but I don't want to leave my mega suspended just to get run over by whatever my opponent is throwing at me. So being able just to unsuspend my mega, even if it doesn't have blocker, just being able to unsuspend it is still pretty powerful. So it is just a backup rookie. Besides these guys, he is just a backup rookie to Evo with. Sunazaramon and Toy Agumon, like kind of your like ideal Evo targets in raising. Dorugoramon, kind of your ideal play rookie, while also being a good other option to Evo in raising. Moving on, though, Chumon, memory blockers. Memory blockers are so good in this format. I've harped on it in all my deck profiles, but in case you haven't seen any of those deck profiles, the concept of memory blockers is so powerful this format. We've seen why blue, having memory blockers against blue is important. Being able to turn off Hammer Spark, being able to turn off Ice Wall, insecurity, all those, plenty of times you've swung into security against blue and they've had an Ice Wall or Hammer Spark, and then they gain 2 memory and it passes turn away from you and you don't get to do anything else. Chumon stops all that shenanigans. It stops any kind of like blue option cards. Howling Memory Boost is going to be very, very powerful in blue this format because it's going to trash Digivolution sources, and they love to trash Digivolution sources. They like targets on field with no Digivolution sources. So Howling Memory Boost is going to be really great for that. For blue, and then it's a delay gain 2 memory. So being able to turn off that delay gain 2 memory is, Chumon is you're going to be your best friend for that. Now for other decks, including blue hybrid, but as well as the other hybrid decks, Bokomon the rookie, making so all tamers, when tamers digivolve into a hybrid, you gain 2 memory, essentially making all hybrid Digimon Evo cost free. Anytime a level 4 becomes a free Evo is terrifying. And then pretty much every hybrid deck ever is running 4 Bokomon. So you really need to be able to turn that off. And that's where Chumon comes in. So he's in great position. Memory blockers are in a great position this format to be run at very high quantities. At least 3 arguments in some decks for 4 when you can get away with it. Next, we got our level 4 package here, and I'll just word of warning, I've gone back and forth on what I like in this and what I don't like, and it's a lot of don't like. First up, we've got Dorugoramon. This is just a 2 Evo cost, level 4. It is an X antibody, so it does fit into your you can search it out pretty easily. It's a target for searchers. But while you have another Digimon in play with X antibody in its trait, or a card of X antibody in its traits is in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, this Digimon gains blocker. So it's a 2 Evo cost blocker most of the time with 5,000 DP. Not that impressive. I mean, you can go 1 Evo cost 5,000 DP all the time blocker with Dark Tyrannomon. Again, though, the benefit is he is an X antibody. He is another target. Since X antibodies are still very limited in what we have so far, he's our only level 4 option to run for X antibodies. So we're going to play him at 4 simply because of that. I think other than that, he's not all that impressive. He does have the inheritable of all turns. While this Digimon has X antibody in its trait, it gets 1,000 DP. So that's going to be pretty beneficial for our megas, but it's not like overly crazy. I mean, the 1,000 DP is pretty nice, but the rest of the effects up here is kind of lackluster. You're 5,000 DP blocker for 2 Evo cost. Next up, and this is one of our first flex spots here, is the Greymon. This is the starter deck Greymon with the inheritable of end of your opponent's turn. If your opponent didn't attack with a Digimon this turn, trigger, draw 1. So kind of that early game, he's going to get a lot of value. Now, it is an inheritable, so you have to put a level 5 on top of him before you're going to see the benefits. But, you can relatively easily see this by turn 2. Evo him on top of whatever you have in raising over here. So whatever of your rookies you decide to go with turn 1, just put him on top of them. To pass turn 3 comes around, you'll promote him up, put a level 5 on top of him, making him live, and then you'll start getting these draws. Like I said, drawing is really important in this deck simply because of the issues that it has with putting tons of sources or putting tons of hand resources underneath as inheritables. So you need to be able to recoup as much as possible whenever possible. And Greymon is going to be one of the ways that you could do with it. Like I said, he's a flex spot. If you have another idea instead of the Greymon, I'm definitely interested in hearing some alternative build choices for the level 4 spots. Then we got Dark Tyrannomon. I've already kind of said why he's like a better choice in blocker. 1 Evo cost, so you can stair step immediately up into a level 5 pretty much right after you Evo him. So 1 Evo cost happens to be a blocker. 5,000 DP is okay. A lot of hybrids in this deck are like 4,000 DP, so he's just barely high enough to stall some of them. So that's not too bad. And Jesmon is going to be a lot less of a threat, I would say. Depending on mulligans. If mulligans becomes a thing, Jesmon will inherently become better because it becomes more consistent. And that could be a problem for the 5,000 DP, but I don't think you have much to worry about. Even if Jesmon does become relatively popular with the mulligan system, I think there's still plenty of other decks that people are more excited to play than Jesmon. So you shouldn't have too much to worry about. So he's a great target for sure to put into the deck. And then I just got 2 Grumblemon. Depending on the build you want to go with, we play a fair amount of Coda. In my build, I've got 3 Coda, but I've seen in other builds, again in the feature match, 4 Coda, because he's kind of like Davis, where you get a search, you get a reveal 4, add an X antibody to hand. So kind of like how Davis, reveal 3, most of the time you're going to pick whatever colored deck you're playing, a blue or a green, and then he's a memory fixer. So once you play him once, you don't need multiples on field. If you get multiples on field because you need more searches, then you can easily Evo this Grumblemon on top of one of your Codas. So, and also just kind of a good finisher. Hybrids are always just kind of in that really good spot of you clear your opponent's security out. Say you hit like, I don't know, something that clears your field, right? So whatever rookie you're going to swing for game with gets cleared because of your opponent's security. You can still go Grumblemon on top of a Tamer and take the game. So just set a 2 of just for that. Next, we're going to move on to our level 5 package here, and we've got Dorugoramon as our first level 5. This thing is really cool. I really like this. So when Digivolving, 3 Evo cost, you may place 1 black card with X antibody in its trait from your hand at the bottom of this Digimon's Digivolution cards to prevent effects from deleting it or reducing its DP until the end of your opponent's next turn. For the most part, that's not super relevant. What's nice is because normally when you promote your level 4 out there and you Evo into your level 5, and say it passes turn back to your opponent. Your level 5 is sitting out there scared to death that it's going to get deleted before it can evo into the mega on the following turn. And that's why most people keep their level 4s and level 5s in raising area until they're ready to drop the mega and immediately swing. So going Dorugoramon a turn early can be scary, but because he has all this nice added in protection, is great. So it can't be reduced in DP. So it can't be deleted or have its DP reduced. So basically your opponent has to find a way to attack him while he's unsuspended. So like Judgment Blade is kind of your only like real concern. And again, if you're playing against like a Jesmon deck and you think that the Jesmon might be coming out, maybe you could play a little safer, keep him in raising area. But against any other deck, yeah, go ahead and promote that level 4 and go into Dorugoramon. Also, placing that X antibody in the sources is going to be really good for our mega. Once we get into our mega, you'll see why that this extra X antibody in the Digivolution sources will matter. Also, it has the inheritable of while this Digimon has X antibody in its traits, gain security attack +1. Both of our megas have X antibody in their traits, so you'll always have the security attack +1 live on your megas. So he is a fantastic card. And again, he's another reason why we have to play the Dorugoramon. While he might not be the best, he is again he's another means of having an X antibody in the deck. So being able to add him off of these effects to Digivolution sources, as well as being able to hit him off of like the Rookie or the Coda searcher. Anytime you have all these X antibody searchers, you need as much X antibody targets in the deck. Moving on though, we got Megadramon. I think this is a great secondary black level 5. You could argue running something like a Monzemon for that 2 Evo cost. Totally understand. But the blocker is nice. Having blocker as an inheritable is just phenomenal, especially if you combine it with the Toy Agumon reboot. They make a very, very nasty combo that I'm always in favor of pulling out whenever I get the chance. So just a good backup. But again, totally understand a Monzemon over the Megadramon. And then we got 2 Rebellion. This is a bit of just kind of a neat tech. Some people were kind of using it in like the JP format, and I kind of like it too. We had it featured on the in the match video, and we actually kind of saw it kind of matter. But yeah, so when Digivolving, trash 1 card in your hand to have this Digimon gain blocker in retaliation for the turn until end of your opponent's next turn. Also, he's treated as black, so say he survives the turn, he staves off the opponent. The opponent's like, hey, I ain't messing with no blocker for retaliation. You get another turn, buddy. Now it's your turn again. His abilities are gone. Now he's just a level 5 vanilla with 7,000 DP. But he's also black, so you can immediately Digivolve on top of him with your megas and keep going to town. So you're all these level 4 inheritables you got, your level 3 inheritables that he's got underneath him. Pretty cool card. I really, really like him. That blocker retaliation can really, really stave off some opponent's stuff. Like your opponent brings out a Susanomon and he's about to do 3 security checks on the following turn. Just go into Rebellion for a turn. Like your opponent's not going to swing with their Susanomon while Rebellion is on the field. So yeah, pretty cool tech card. All right, now we're getting the real highlights of the deck here. Let's go ahead and jump over to this Dorugoramon here. This is our main mega. 3 Evo cost mega. Also, I want to the Dorugoramon, when you use his ability to Digivolve, if you have the Rookie here, the Dorumon, you gain that memory, and he kind of becomes a 2 Evo cost level 5 when used in combination with that Rookie. Now we got the Dorugoramon here, though. 3 Evo cost, 11,000 DP. 11,000 DP isn't the best, but again, the level 4 gives him the 1,000 DP buff, so that's kind of good. So that's pretty awesome. But also, your turn for each card with X antibody in its traits. In this Digimon's Digivolution cards, this Digimon gets 1,000 DP. So you're going to get double for the level 4. The level 4, though, is nice because it applies on the opponent's turn. So it gives you a little bit of buff on their turn, especially if you have blocker or anything like that. Being able to just have a little bit more DP. But yeah, so most of the time, you're going to be able to buff this guy up tremendously. He's going to be swinging with a cracked out amount of DP. You probably don't have to worry about anything ever being in security or even just swinging over whatever is on your opponent's side of the field. But the big part of him is when attacking once per turn, you may place 1 card with X antibody in its traits from your hand at the bottom of this Digimon's Digivolution cards to delete up to 2 of your opponent's Digimon with play cost less than or equal to this Digimon's Digivolution cards. So you've got your baby, you got your rookie, you got your level 4, and your level 5. If your level 5 was the Dorugoramon, he's going to put an extra source when he evos underneath. That's 5. So that's 5 on evo. Now, when you attack, you get to add another one. That's going to be 6. So on your very first swing, you'll have 6 inheritables, ideally, underneath this guy, being able to delete play costs of 6 or less, up to 2 targets. That's so powerful. I mean, you're clearing memory blockers. You're clearing blockers. I mean, anything like low on the low end in one turn, you get to clear 2 of those off the field. That's very, very powerful. Absolutely love this guy for that. That is such a cool, neat, interactive ability. Really kind of makes you think. You gotta think so many turns ahead to make sure you have the sources you need to really pop this guy off, and to do it at a time when your opponent has the best targets to delete. Don't want to do it too early, don't want to do it too late. Really makes you think with this deck, and that's the kind of Digimon that most of us love to play. So really like this guy. Our other target though, or our other mega, is Alphamon. He is an X Antibody. Also, the security effect is bomb in this deck. Like, almost literally. Security. At the end of the battle, add this Digimon card to your hand. Then, if a Digimon with Royal Knight or X Antibody in its type is in play, up to 12 of your opponent's Digimon can't attack players for the turn. So a big issue when this guy came out in BT6 is he was kind of difficult to trigger. Unless you're playing a Royal Knight deck, which it means your other megas in the deck are going to be Royal Knights, or your opponent is playing a Royal Knight, he was kind of difficult to trigger. There wasn't really any X Antibodies in the game for him to trigger off of. So you had to already have a mega in play reliably to get him to trigger insecurity. Now, though, since every single one of your levels in level 3, your level 4, your level 5, your level 6, all of them have X Antibody at some point, it's very easy for your Alphamon to trigger insecurity. Absolutely cool. Super awesome. And so he gets to add it to hand. And then when attacking, you may pay up to 5 memory. If you do, this Digimon gets plus 1000 DP for the turn for each memory paid. And then end of attack, gain 2. So if you swing, you can pay 2, and you'll just get refunded that 2 back. So he'll go up to 13,000. Remember that 13,000 way back in the beginning where that was relevant? The Dorugoramon, if this Digimon has 13,000 DP or more, it gets security attack plus 1. So you're going to trigger your own Dorugoramon pretty much on both. Your Dorugoramon will pretty much always be at 13,000 when he's attacking. Also, same for the piercing here. If he's just on field chilling, both your megas can hit that 13,000 DP threshold pretty much all the time. Like, unless you went really like outside the box on the Dorugoramon Evo line, you should probably still at least have the 12 or the 13,000. Like, if you avoided the whole way up of X Antibody, you just, as soon as you attack, just place that level 4 underneath him, and boom, that's going to give you plus 2,000. You're good to go. But yeah, so both of these guys will be able to trigger that Dorugoramon every single time you attack. Also, if you don't activate the Alphamon, at the end of the attack, you gain 2 memory. So if you think that 11,000 DP is going to get the job done, don't use his ability and then just get 2 extra memory back. So loving Alphamon. I love this Alphamon. Very, very cool. Loving these guys together. They just work in this deck so beautifully. Like, that was my issue with Alphamon in BT6, is he just, as much as I wanted to incorporate him into a deck, he was just kind of at most a 2 of. In this deck, though, 3 of for sure. I don't want to do 4 of just because Dorugoramon is the main focus of the deck, but Alphamon absolutely fits right into. Next up, we got Iron Fisted Onslaught. I've talked about it in tons of my other deck profiles, but in this format, BT7, if your opponent drops a Susanomon on you, you're going to struggle if you don't have any way to clear big targets. So if you can't attack over it, that sort of thing, especially if it's unsuspended, if you can't delete unsuspended Digimon that have massive DP, you're going to be in trouble. So I think every deck needs to be running some form of big target removal, and Iron Fisted Onslaught is the perfect choice for black. Just delete all your opponent's Digimon with the highest play cost. Heaven forbid they have two Susanomon in play. Being able to pop 2 of them is crazy. If you saw the feature match, the opponent played this against Machine Dramon. Machine Dramon had Machine Dramon and Chaos Dramon, and they both have the same play cost. So yeah, Iron Fist Onslaught, just a very good card. Really, really liking it. So it's very much a must-have. We have it at a 3 of, at least a 2 of. 3 might be, a little much, but we had the room in the deck, so we went ahead and threw it in here. Next, we got Metal Cannon. This is a very cool card. So 2 play cost. Choose one of your Digimon with X Antibody and its traits, then draw one for each Digimon's Digivolution cards. Basically the inheritables don't have to be X Antibody. That's what's so crazy. You target either of your megas here, and you're going to just plus 2 play costs to basically fill up your hand, like 6 draws, 7 draws, very, very easily. Yeah, this card is nuts. Again, if you saw the feature match, like the opponent went from having 3 cards in hand to like 10 cards in hand. It was beautiful. So 2 play costs for that. And again, this deck like really, really suffers if it's always throwing its hand resources underneath as inheritables. Then you're not getting enough hand resources left to actually make other plays. Metal Cannon is a great one to come in for. Just at a 2 of, because you really only ever need to activate this once. You activate this once, and you're pretty much set up for the rest of the game for hand resources. And then closing the deck out, we got 3 Coda. I'm not totally convinced that 3 is the way to go. I've seen plenty of people play 4. I know that next set with BT8, we get more X Antibody Tamer support. But until then, he's going to be our main focus here. He is a memory fixer, which is very important. So 4 play cost to coincide with that memory fixer. But on play, reveal 4 cards of your deck, the top 4, add 1 with X Antibody and straight to your hand. So it's a reveal 4, add 1. Not like crazy amazing, but it's fine. I think it's pretty solid. Most of the time when you play cards like this, you're really only expecting to add 1 anyway, so that's okay. And being able to reveal 4 is pretty cool. So just to add a 3 of there, let me go ahead and zoom out so you can get a picture of the whole deck if you want to take a screenshot or whatever. We have 49 cards in the deck. So you can bump something up somewhere. You can bump the Kodamon back up to 4 if you want. You could take the Iron Fisted Onslaught down to 2. That gives you 2 cards. At 2 of, you can throw in a pair of something. You could do like a black memory boost if you want, which is kind of like the Coda, but it's more generic because it doesn't have to be just X Antibody. It can be anything. You could definitely do that as well. Definitely some really good flex spots. And then the only other flex spots in the deck for anyone that's skipping to the end is the Greymon here. If you could think of anything better, I definitely would love to hear people's thoughts on level 4 lineup for this deck. It was definitely the most challenging, I think, was building the level 4 lineup and picking something that really made sense. I think inheritable, like something with a really good inheritable, is the way to go. If you can't go Dorugoramon, you need something else with a good level 4 inheritable for this deck. And then the level 5 spot, the Megadramon, you could argue swapping him out for a Monzaemon if you want, just for that more efficient with that 2 Evo cost. Really, though, you don't want to hard play a Monzaemon for 5 and then Evo on top of him. Maybe you could with an Alphamon, but if you do that with the Dorugoramon, you're just going to hurt yourself because you're going to lose out on most of his like best features by having a big, nice Evo stack. If you go right on top of a Monzaemon with the Dorugoramon, you're really going to be missing out. So, yeah, I still like the Megadramon, though. That blocker is such a game changer. Absolutely.